have covered a lot of ground today, looking in depth at issues like metrics, data, the qualities of video, etc. But it's sort of bringing it together in some ways, looking at a particular company that uses various of these tools to make a big breakthrough in an industry where no one saw them coming. And I'm delighted to have Chobani here to talk about their experiences. And they're sort of the Avis of yogurts. Avis' famous thing is like, we try harder. I'm sure you're going to tell me that's not true. Nevertheless, you did try very hard, and you seem to have succeeded pretty well. So, Peter, could you just start by giving us a sort of just a potted history briefly of the company, where it came from, and how it got to stage one?
It started in a Buick rental car. No,
That's right.
In a Buick rental car. I don't want to know. Okay.
Quickly, it was started by Hamdi Ulukaya. He's from Turkey. He came to America, didn't really speak much English. He grew up in a country where yogurt was a commonplace, regardless of your socioeconomic background, where you lived. You could have access to a beautiful, simple, natural cup of yogurt. Came to America. He saw a lot of specialty yogurts, and Faye was the only Greek option at the time. It was $4 a cup. And their ads had Rolex watches in it and things like that. He's like, what is going on? The world's gone mad. So he thought there was an opportunity to grow Greek. And at the time, it was 0.9 share of the total yogurt category. And he went and bought a craft plant that was shut down and closed down. And everyone told him not to do it. He was crazy. And he took a small business loan out because he didn't have any money. And 6 years later, it's 52% of the market, according to the latest Nielsen data 2 weeks ago. The category is $7.5 billion, so it's 52% of that. Chobani went 0 to $1.4 billion in about 5.5 years. And he's entrepreneur of the world, and I think, we grew faster than Facebook, and wild ride. So here we are.
And the opposition, what were they doing in this time?
Yeah, so
that's a lot of growth in a
so he
few
calls
years,
it Chapter 1, Chapter 2.
So Chapter 1
was 0 to $1 billion. Sleeping giants were sleeping. We grew rapidly, very little competition, very manufacturing driven. So spent $250 million on the upstate New York plant to modernize it.
I see.
Built another plant in Idaho for $500 million, so it's the largest yogurt facility in the world. And didn't do a lot of marketing, didn't do a lot of advertising, just built manufacturing capability.
Right.
And a lot of growing pains. And then Chapter 2, which started 6-8 months ago, was Sleeping Giants woke up. Sleeping Giants very angry, pissed. A lot of little guys.
Sour.
Sour. And a lot of little guys, have entered the market. There was 11 new Greek yogurt brands just in January alone. And the marketing investment
That's great.
quadrupled. So, you have General Mills spent $150 million last year. Dannon spent $100 million. Stuart Elliott in New York Times called it the Yogurt Bowl, not the Super Bowl. It's, the yogurt wars have officially begun, and Walmart has declared 2014 the year of yogurt. So none of this really makes sense. And here we are, and it's super competitive. And so Chapter 2.
Right. So
I think we're going to go from manufacturing
smoothly
to marketing.
Right.
So it's a marketing-driven culture we're in. We need better claims. We need sharper positioning. We needed a platform to innovate and ideate off of and exploit and differentiate ourselves. Hence, this big guy over here.
So let's talk to the big guy, shall we? So big guy.
I don't get called big guy very often. But
the platform. What exactly? So Chobani comes to you and says, "Help." How did you look at this, and what did you think they needed, and what did you put in place?
He showed us an Avis case study.
Exactly.
Oh, strange. So I was right. Okay, that's good. So all was going smoothly, as with yogurt, and then.
They're essentially the call as an agency. They're the call you want to get. I mean, beyond the humiliation of we're a pretty feisty, cocky agency, and we felt like we've had a good run. And then you hear their history. We're a 7-year-old agency, and they hear what they've achieved in 5 years, and suddenly we feel that big compared to that. But they're the call you want to get, because it's not just a brand that really wants to lean and invest in marketing, but that has a point of view, and most importantly, like an amazing product. Like they didn't come to us to sort of manufacture a story or a narrative that's now consumer facing. They're like, this is who we are, this is our product, this is complete consistent story from Humdy, how he started, and you just heard an abbreviated version, to how he makes his product, to how he treats his staff, to how they donate 10%. Like, that's the dream storybook story you want to get, because it's so full of integrity and goodness on a lot of levels that it's so rich for you to sort of to work off. So
Sounds
we
like
think,
yogurt, goodness and rich.
No,
and,
but that's the thing. You're thinking, holy shit, and they want to have a platform that's enduring. So not just because there's symmetries that with what our agency, like we try and work with brands that we think have a forward-facing and a good conscience, but like they are the dream brief because it's a brand moving in the right direction. And it's interesting because most brands that push forward and want to have a strong point of view aren't necessarily the dominant brand in a category. Usually the ones that try and shout from the we stand for this and all that are the ones that are challengers. Very rarely does the confident one, the one who tries to define the category, be the number one.
Right.
And that was inspiring for us. And our platform, honestly, came out of just conversations with them. And it's all about how matters. And we've built something around how matters, like how a product is made matters, how you treat your employee matters, how you source your ingredients matters. And that's they want to turn it into a conversation not just about their products, but their category, because there's sharp elbows in that as well.
I was going to ask you that because, I mean, presumably, obviously, I see a lot of ads for yogurt on TV here, right? So TV spend is massive. You can't beat the Danones and the others at that game in terms of the number.
Yeah, not spend.
So
but,
not in spend. So
you're outspent, you can out-advertise and out-maneuver.
Beat them in messaging and authenticity, and that's the thing. I think that's the beauty from a marketing point of view, again, is like what a brand says, its body language has to match it now. In eras gone before, a brand could say anything and its actions didn't have to match it. Consumers aren't fools, they know what's going on. So the body language of a brand has to be in sync with what it's saying.
Right.
And again, that's the beauty. Like every action that Chobani takes is kind of, it's transparent. People know what they're about. And if there's an event, if there's a hiccup, how they deal with it, it's the same thing. I feel like there's just something that's in sync with people's lives now. And it's more than just, there's a beautiful line that we all rally behind as a collective, which again, it's not a marketing line, it is, but it actually comes from them, which is, a cup of yogurt won't change the world, but how we make it might.
Right.
That's, again, that sounds sweet, but it actually comes from their attitude. Like, they want to tackle not just making a great yogurt, they actually want to challenge how we manufacture food in this country.
Yes.
Which anyone here who's a parent would be like, fuck, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's get down to ingredients.
I think you mean that's a good idea. Let's do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's
Sorry.
good. That's good.
The Southern Hemisphere is
Southern
coming out a
Hemisphere
little bit.
accent.
Coming out a little bit.
Yeah, it sounds like I swear, but it's just a draw from this.
I noticed.
No, but I feel like that's the thing. Like, who doesn't want to do that? Let's talk about the ingredients being part of the process.
But let me just look back at this a bit because it sounds great and it's obvious.
Sure.
But you do have these guys on the other side with hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sure.
They're coming at you like a truck, right in the headlights.
Sure.
So you can do a certain amount on TV, the messaging comes through, but you have this real opportunity, it looks like, in social media, which is where money, the dollars don't count, right? So how did you think about that, and what did you do?
That's always been a big part, but just to back it up real quick, because that's the first time you've ever told me that you just came up with how matters from a brief conversation. I thought you sweated it. It took you forever and ever and ever and ever.
Exactly.
Big fees and lots of money and all that kind of stuff.
It costs a fortune to be so.
But anyway, just back it up. Because we weren't a marketing company, because we didn't invest a lot of money, we're the #1 yogurt brand in America. 6 years. Been around 60 years. These guys. And we have 37% awareness. So 2/3 of the country's never heard of us.
Right.
And we're America's #1 yogurt brand. So we have a big opportunity if you have a better product that's competitively priced. It's kind of a linear equation. It's not, I didn't over-intellectualize it too much. So we do need to do some traditional advertising just to raise awareness, because if you can be #1 at 37,
right.
Imagine if 2/3 of the country heard about you. Well, you have a better product.
Yes.
And it's a natural product. And we all know that 9 out of 10 consumers prefer natural versus unnatural if things are kind of somewhat equal. So we've always been strong socially. We have more Facebook fans and people on Twitter and Instagram than our competitors, dramatically more, because we skew more millennial, we skew much younger than our competitors. So we've always been kind of an organic, dynamic, social brand. And How Matters, by the way, as a transparent platform, infuses itself socially. So when we had the whole Cold War thing in Russia, we opposed the gay and lesbian law. We didn't mince words. We didn't write 17 paragraphs like, some others did. We said, this is something we shouldn't be talking about in 2014. We don't like it. We denounce it. And that was, how you communicate matters. How you treat people matters. And we've been very transparent as a company. And we just did something recently, and I'll turn it over to David. And this was up against our own farmers, right? They were going to pass a bill that would limit transparency and be harder to find out if animal cruelty was happening. And we're for the humane treatment of animals. So we came out very loud, very clearly, very plainly, socially. And customers and consumers rewarded us for it. So we've always kind of been, and David talked about that, you can't have a How Matters if you can't back it up, because it's going to invite criticism.
Right. Yeah.
That's the main part. I think that's because I think lots of brands jump on the bandwagons of things that like, oh, people care about this now, so suddenly we care about this. And people know whether it's sincere and it's authentic now. And that's the thing, like, people can spend $100 million, $500 million, and they can buy some views or they can buy some bright flares. But they're like fireworks. They disappear and there's just left with smoke. Like, I feel like getting advocates isn't about money. It's about aligned beliefs. And it's about values, not trends. And I feel like that's the thing. You go way back to before the first pot of yogurt came out of the factory. I mean, it's done simply and with integrity in the right way. And I want that in my kitchen, and I also want to work on brands that do that. And the best brands out there across all across categories are the ones that have something meaningful to say and a point of view. And again, you've got to tread carefully there, because I don't want to get marriage advice from a tire company, but so it's just knowing where you can tread and what's your point of view.
Tread. It came off tread.
I know.
That was good.
I was just going to say, tread carefully.
But back on How Matters really quick, because this is important for us, right? We hadn't had a platform, and we weren't about reinventing Chobani because it was 6 years young. This is just a re-articulation of what we've always been about. So when I showed that to Hamdi, he's like, How Matters, of course. It took me 2 years to perfect my recipe. And when we looked at it, to David's point, just one more minute on this, we can move on. When we looked at it, we said, we have a beautiful how. It's fresh milk, it's real fruits, cultures. You don't want to know how hot dogs are made. You don't want to know how our competitors' products are made. But for us, we'll celebrate, lean in, leverage our how. And I think how, there are a lot of what brands out there, and belief brands are important. They're always going to be important. There are a lot of when brands, established in 1893. Who gives a shit? That means you're old. There's very few how brands out there, because the how isn't always pretty. And in our case, we could celebrate it and leverage it against our competitors. So while they outspend us, I think we can have a sharper, more authentic, more resonant message.
Is the strategy you've used, for want of a better term, sort of plain vanilla yogurt type strategy, plain vanilla marketing in social, or have you done anything unusual other than associating yourselves obviously with the causes, which other companies do? I guess it's not unusual, but you picked some interesting ones. What else have you done? Is there any innovation or?
Well, I think there's a lot of, we're a few months into the launch of this platform, so we're sort of speaking a lot about the potential of it. But I think that one of the reasons we've got so much energy towards it is I always think, again, you get more creative latitude to be outrageous and daring and bold when you come back to a really solid base. So we have things in the works for socially and also in
I haven't seen anything.
Events, events and all that. We
Bills.
Yeah, exactly. This is the way. This is the way to sell it to him on stage in front of you guys. It'd be a total prick if you didn't buy it now, right? That's good. But that's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of things in the works, but it's enduring, and it's really interesting from an agency's perspective, and hopefully it's also for a brand's perspective. It's not just about shows you, hopefully sheds a light on where you can go. It also stops you faffing around and doing the wrong thing. Because if something feels completely just flippant or...
I agree.
And that's the thing. Everyone wants to have lanes to swim in and they know that they're comfortable in. So definitely, we're looking at, how... If we really stand for How Matters, what would an event do? How would we do an event? How would we handle a crisis?
Yes.
How would we handle a new launch of something? How would we... I'm making this up now. How would we handle if we went into different categories? How would we handle... You know.
But we have done
You're going
some
to
things
different
like,
categories?
No,
Just
into
asking.
car rental.
on
Obviously.
Super Bowl,
Okay.
on Super Bowl, we were one of 5 things to trend on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's our first Super Bowl ever. We just ran one spot. We didn't sponsor it. We didn't run multiple
Right.
spots. It was Budweiser Puppy. It was Chobani. We're the only 2 brands to trend on Twitter that night. We did 150 pieces of real-time content, 23 videos.
Very interesting.
We were having fun with Ellen, tweeting her because she had a bear in her commercial, but it was a fake bear. We said you should have a real bear. We like all bears, and we tweeted the puppy and
Right.
and all sorts of fun stuff. And I think how you communicate
Yeah.
matters, right? So we did it in a very playful, fun way. We didn't talk about nutritionals and how our product's better. And we were one of the 5 buzziest brands on the Oscars. We just ran one spot. We didn't have a serendipitous selfie. We didn't have a calculated pizza delivery. We just ran one spot. And we didn't sponsor, and we were one of the 5 buzziest brands.
Yes.
We did a lot of social amplification around it that was really kind of authentic and enjoy. It was very enjoying and entertaining.
I happened to be downtown earlier this week, and I walked around a corner and I saw a Chobani. It looked like a Starbucks type idea. The idea
No,
of
much
some
better
kind of
designed. What are you
much
talking
better
about?
designed than a Starbucks.
Your analogies are
idea.
terrible. Avis, Starbucks? Come
Yeah,
on.
it's great.
We're an aspirational brand now.
Okay, you are the Illy coffee.
Getting warmer.
The Illy coffee, getting warmer, like the coffee. Okay, so is this
Maybe
the
a
plan?
La
Is
Colombe.
this
We
the
serve La
future?
Colombe
Is there going to be like a Chobani?
There will be many.
There will be many.
That's our first physical manifestation of the brand. We grand reopened it 3 weeks ago. We bought the store next to it, so it's a whopping 800 square feet right now. But it's the corner of West Broadway and Prince, so it's
it's great.
prime location. And basically, that's kind of an incubation center. It's an inspiration center, education center. Per capita consumption of yogurt is half of Canada. It's half of Europe.
Right.
So we need to grow the category in terms of getting it out of just breakfast and savories. So we have soups there. We have savory dips. We have rice puddings made with.
That looked pretty good.
It's great, and we have coffee there too. We have sandwiches that are made with our cream cheese.
Right.
So
And I see you're
Take you
going.
through the whole menu.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. I'm hungry now.
and it's a Mediterranean kind of design, not
It looked
not
really
like
nice.
Starbucks, but yeah.
And obviously we know that you're thinking about raising a significant amount of money by the looks of things. I see there's some reports saying you're looking for a $5 billion valuation, maybe $500 million raise. Is that where all that money is going to go, or is it going to our friend here?
Expensive agencies.
Expensive. I know he's an expensive agency.
Yeah, Droga. I mean, they'll drain you like
Unbelievable.
nobody's business. I'm telling you.
Unbelievable.
Well, they're the best, though. That's
Psychologically, emotionally,
yeah.
financially.
He does it to me too.
it's a campaign of
You
drug.
know,
I can't.
why didn't we have this panel last week?
I
before
know.
the
I'm
story
sorry.
broke?
I'm really sorry.
No, I think, there's been a lot of rumors swirling around. It's kind of silly, right? I mean, we're a growth company. We're raising capital.
Yeah.
Not the first time, not the last time. Growth companies
very
raise
sensible.
capital all the time.
Yeah.
The capital, in terms of the capital, the structure of the capital raise is yet to be determined.
Sure.
We're looking at equity, we're looking at debt, lending, we're looking at strategic, and an IPO still on the table. So we haven't decided,
Yeah.
but we're going to raise a bunch of capital to fuel our growth. We're going to launch 11 new innovations in June. We have a whole bunch in January. We just expanded the plant again in Idaho. So we're going more broadly internationally. So the brand's ready to explode. The category's kind of growing rapidly. So we just want to make sure we have enough capital to fuel the demand. It's no more complicated than that.
I think it's a very sensible move. I was intrigued to know what you were going to do with the money. Okay, I'd like to see if we have some questions from the floor. Any questions for Chobani? Like, could you bring samples, please? One from the front here.
Hi, Leah Wertheimer here. You just spoke about expanding globally, and I'm just wondering if you could talk to any challenges you may have faced and how you address them with maintaining your philosophy of speaking clearly, casually, transparent, and
Sure.
also that how matters philosophy. 'Cause it
Yeah,
might
it's a
be
good
different.
question. So right now we're in Australia, this country that, resonates.
Superpower.
Yeah, superpower. How many medals do you have in the Olympics? You had 2, right?
Per capita, the greatest sporting nation in the world.
Correct. Absolutely correct.
Facts.
But
Absolutely
so we're in
true.
Australia. We have a
Facts.
good business. We're on fire in Australia, and how matters is a notion that'll work quite well down there, and being all natural works quite well. Mediterranean lifestyle works quite well. We were in the UK, made a nice business there. We pulled out of it, which was Because one of the things that I didn't touch on, which is part of our secret sauce or what we think is special, is local manufacturing. So we actually bought a factory down in Australia. It's a perishable product. It's all natural, so it's got a 60-day shelf life. So we didn't have a factory in the UK, and we were air shipping and sometimes shipping yogurt to England. So it wasn't a Chapter 2 move. So, but there's high interest in the brand in the UK. They love it. They love Greek-style yogurt. And
we Brits will eat anything but not nice-day-old yogurt. No.
Yeah,
that's the one where we draw the line.
So we temporarily withdrew, and we're looking at buying a plant locally. And so we think local, crafted in pride, crafted in pride in Britain, locally sourcing.
Yeah.
How you source your
it's important part
milk
of the story.
matters, right?
Yeah.
Locally, and so there's the how matters can get very, very local. How you treat the community matters, right? Because we give away 10% of our profits, and we do a lot of local community stuff. So the whole, even though it's a global platform, is meant to be localized, actually, in terms of sourcing and how it's made and how you treat the community. And there's all sorts of things we can do there.
Right.
But definitely, I think, again, obviously each country has different repertoires of how they treat yogurt or relationship with yogurt. But definitely the principle that eating is getting simpler and more natural is not just...
No, it's a global phenomenon.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're talking about that everywhere, almost everywhere.
Let me just see if there's any other questions. Otherwise, we'll take there's one at the front here. Then we'll see if we can come back to you.
Mike Miko from Momentum Worldwide. You talked about how your stance is differentiating in the category and how very few brands can talk about the how in that regard. When you look at yourselves as a lifestyle brand, you transcend yogurt or even transcend CPG brands.
Yep.
Who else do you draw inspiration from that's that authentic, that's maybe growing in the same regard, or are you really, blazing your own trail with blinders on, so to speak?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any direct comparison, but we do source inspiration from, just general lifestyle brands. I'm not going to say, oh, it's Apple or it's Levi, anything like that. I mean, I think it's a way of life, right? Yogurt's an ancient, simple food. It's been around thousands of years. It's just a pure, simple food. And the notion of leading a pure, simple life, I think, is very resonant. And the cafe, not to harp on the cafe, is when you go in there, it's very relaxed, and we're using Mediterranean woods and things like that. So we definitely think it can stretch and can go into different categories. And, our pillar is nutritious, delicious, natural, accessible. And that's, if you can do that, the supermarket's your playground, and you can be in all sorts of adjacent categories, because it's just a way of making things. It's a way of doing things. It's a way of treating people that we think makes us special. We also think that that's kind of on trend and where the world's going.
Well,
right?
we also, we're very fortunate, all of us are, personally and also from corporations, that we live in an era now where you don't have to choose between caring and being ambitious. Like, you can have ambitions to be successful and make a difference, or ambitions to make a difference. And now there can be symmetry between the two. Before, previous generations, individually or brands, you almost had to choose.
Right.
I want to be a global success, so I might have to cut some corners to do this or do that. Or, I feel like they can be in tangent now and in tandem now. And I feel like you see that with certain other brands in different categories.
Let's see if there's any other. There's one down the back there, please. Can we get this gentleman microphone? Just in here. Yeah, thanks.
Hi. I just had a question about. It's a very kind of bold platform to take. We're talking about transparency and stuff, and I just wanted to ask, sort of what danger transparency sometimes. So, for instance, in social, you can't always control that conversation. I see.
You can.
You've been beaten up a bit about like the GMO thing is a lot of your Facebook feed. And now with sort of rumours about selling off parts of the company, how do you maintain the illusion of transparency and control around those obstacles?
Yeah, I think you don't make an illusion. I think you tell the truth and you be as transparent as possible. We had a recall, and I think, it was a longer news cycle than we wanted, but we were open. We did it voluntarily. We told people what it was. We told people the good, the bad, the ugly. We took our lumps. And, we lost a share point, and we gained that full share point back in 4 weeks. So they were, our fan base was very hard on us, because when you have a lot of brand love, they love you when things are good, and they hate you when you make a mistake. But they give you a second and a third chance. And I think we've been very open about the humane treatment of animals. We've been very open on key issues because we don't want to be a typical CPG company. So when David talked about the personality of Chobani being a challenger, and by the way, I think you had asked, you go from a challenger brand to being number one. You just never stop challenging. That's how you stay number one. Yeah, I think it's a big responsibility. We always knew when we launched How Matters that we were going to have a lot of scrutiny. And even on our supply chain and our sourcing, that's why we had to come out on, if our farmers are mistreating cows and we're sourcing milk from there, we can't stand for that. That's not How Matters.
Right.
And we have to come out and take a stance, even if it's really unpopular. And we just did that 2 weeks ago.
But I think it's worth saying that How Matters is also about how you address things. It's not to say that you're perfect. It's how you address the mistakes you make or the course corrections you have to take. I mean, it's not about being perfect. It's not about being perfect. It's about being the best at getting better, right? I think that's the sort of the course to take.
There was a question from them. Raise your hands, those at the side who wanted to ask a question. Yeah, this gentleman here. Could we get it's to your other side. Okay.
I think earlier today there were a lot of talk about doing really cool digital and social things and working with kind of small, nimble agencies. Both of you guys come from, obviously, David's agency. Peter, you come from an agency. What's the role of advertising agencies these days? And why do they have an important role?
Yeah, I think they're doomed. That's why I went to the client.
No, clearly you
4 o'clock
don't.
in the afternoon.
I'd say I don't know why 90% of agencies exist.
Oh, it's a 99% actually.
Yeah, 99.99.
Yeah.
No, I think that when it's done well, it's not just a creative thing, but it's they're brand guardians, right? They sort of it's as much about the strategy and the roadmap they create, and then obviously they want to be objective and create creative roadmaps as well and creative expressions. And if you attract the best people and you have a relationship, you can create extraordinary things because 10% of advertising out there is incredible and builds brands and business and educates and inspires, and 90% is paint by numbers and probably not worth the money.
Yeah, and I still think in the end, I think it's about partnership and ideas. We did an extensive process, which I don't like processes. I inherited a big old advertising, pitch consultant-led thing. And, we chose Droga because in the end, they had the best idea and they knew us the best and they cared the most. So I still think that's what matters. And they came up with a platform that made us want to be better. And we have to grow into How Matters. Because to David's point, we're not perfect, but our mindset's in the right place so we can get there. But they gave us an idea that was authentic, that felt like us, that would make us better over time. And we chose them. So, but we chose them for the idea. So I think ad agency, I still think it comes down to lots of channels. We can debate channels and upstream, downstream, and integration, all that BS. In the end of the day, it comes down to ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah, good is good and bad is bad. And
yeah.
There's a million options for media and trends and all that sort of stuff. And the messaging and how you utilize them, that's what matters.
Yeah.
Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do something. And I feel like, that's why it's such an interesting industry and time for brands and for agencies.
I think that's absolutely true. Ladies and gentlemen, whipping big yogurt, please thank my panelists. A terrific job.